Okay, good morning, students. Is it audible? Okay, thank you. Now, in today's class is based on the first unit as a revision. So, we want to discuss the subject concepts of the first unit, that is asymptotic notation and the algorithm. So, I have prepared the unit wise questions. We will discuss the important questions from the unit 1. Now, see the unit 1 important questions with answers. Today we will concentrate and discuss on these 5 concepts, that is what is an algorithm and what are the characteristics of the algorithm, what are the asymptotic notations and the properties of asymptotic notations. Properties of asymptotic notations. Now, what is an asymptotic notation? and the types of asymptotic notations with examples. Now we will consider different pseudocode conventions used to represent an algorithm. And write a recursive algorithm for binary search and also bring out the efficiency of this algorithm. Okay, write a recursive algorithm for binary search and also bring out its efficiency of the recursive search, recursive binary search algorithm. Now see the answers and we will discuss one by one the questions with answers. So these questions are very important. Those are frequently used, frequently asking in the final exams. And these are also concept oriented questions. These are all concept oriented questions. Okay, these are all concept oriented questions. So try to understand. These are very important also. So technically, the set of instructions. See, what is an algorithm first of all, and what are the characteristics in detail. So algorithm is a, already you know, algorithm is a sequence of finite number of steps to solve a problem. So we can define technically the algorithm as a set of instructions. The algorithm as the set of instructions or description in a particular notation of the process is termed as the algorithm. So that is a description of a particular notation or the instructions in a procedure to solve a problem. So an algorithm is a finite step-by-step, well-defined instructions of the sequence of the activities that constitute a process of getting the desired outputs from the given inputs. Some inputs are given. From this, we need some output. So to get the desired output from the given input, there is a process, there is a procedure. Okay, that procedure is the algorithm. So the raw material needed at the time of beginning is referred to as input, and the resting entity that is at the end is referred to as output. So we have an input for an algorithm. In the same way, we have the one or more outputs for an algorithm. Okay, now the characteristics of an algorithm. What are the different characteristics of an algorithm? There are five important characteristics of an algorithm that should be considered while designing any algorithm for any problem. So, for any problem, you want to design an algorithm to solve that particular problem. So, it needs some important designing criteria are some important points to be met in algorithm. So finiteness or fineness. So an algorithm should terminate infinite number of steps, and each step must finish in finite amount of time. So we have the some number of steps. Within that particular steps, the algorithm should terminate and must finish in finite amount of time. So definiteness. So what is the definiteness? Should not be any ambiguity. Suppose now as an example, you can say 4 plus 5 star 3. What is 4 plus 5 star 3? You can consider, if there is no precedence, then you can consider one time as 4 plus 5 star 3. That is 9 into 3, 27. In another way, you can consider as 4 plus 5 star 3. That is 15 plus 4, 19. That means that is a ambiguity there, ambiguous. So we need to consider the precedence and associativity of the operators when you are evaluating the expressions. So there should not be any ambiguity in the there should not be any ambiguity in the algorithm. So ambiguities are not allowed. So should be algorithm should be clear, should give the clear instructions, should give the clear instructions. So definiteness, no ambiguity. Each step of algorithm should be clearly and precisely defined, and there should not be any ambiguity. So there should not be any ambiguity. Define there should not be any ambiguity. For example, a program fragment is given as x is assigned with 1 to toss a coin. If the result is head, then x assigned with 3. If it is not head, then it is assigned with 4. So all the steps should be carried out effectively, but there is no definiteness. No definiteness means there is no ambiguity, since there are two possible values of x, that is 1 and 3 by 4. So inputs, an algorithm should have inputs. So an algorithm must have 0 or more inputs, but must be finite number of inputs. The number of steps are finite, that is countable. Suppose 10 steps are there. Okay, that is finite. It is not in the infinite loop. So example of zero input. Zero input. Algorithm print the ASCII code of each of the letter in the alphabet of the computer system. Suppose you want to print ASCII code for each character. For example, each letter. Suppose A, there is an ASCII code. B, there is an ASCII code. For letter C, there is an ASCII code. You want to print the ASCII codes of all the letters in the English language alphabet. You can easily print without giving any input to the algorithm. So output, an algorithm must have at least one desirable outcome. So algorithm should have the output, one output, maybe more than one output. That should be the required output which you needed, a client needed. So effectiveness, an algorithm should be effective. Effective means that each step should be referred as principle and should be executing in finite time. So all the steps should be executed in some stipulated time or some finite amount of time. That means you can say this algorithm can be executed in 10 seconds. or this algorithm can be executed in 10 milliseconds. Like that. That is a finite amount of time to execute an algorithm. So that is effectiveness. So example of not effectiveness. What is not effectiveness? Find exact value of E using the following formula. There is a formula is given. E is equals to 1 plus 1 by 1 factorial plus 1 by 2 factorial plus 1 by 3 factorial plus 1 by 4 factorial and so on. Suppose you want to find the exact value and add it to some other variable x. Then is it possible? Is it effectiveness is there? What is effectiveness? Step should be referred as principle and should be executed in finite time, finite amount of time. But here and so on means it may take lot of time to execute the value, to find the value. So it is not effective since it requires summation of infinite terms. Infinite terms are there. Now you want to add all these things. So it takes lot of time. So therefore it takes infinite time, hence not effective. So this, when you write the algorithm for this, so it takes infinite number of steps, infinite time is there. So a lot of time is taken by this algorithm to solve this problem. So it is not effective. So from this, you can easily understand the important characteristics. What is an algorithm and what are the important characteristics of an algorithm? This is very important question. So try to remember, this is a very concept oriented question also. Everyone should know what is an algorithm, what are the properties of an algorithm. So everyone should know. This is very important question. So what are the important characteristics of an algorithm? Please remember finiteness, definiteness, input, output, effectiveness are the important characteristics of an algorithm. Now see what are the asymptotic notations and give its properties. So what is a asymptotic notation? This is also very concept based question or very basic question. In the first unit, everyone should know what are the asymptotic notations. These are important in the point of not only in the point of view of exams, but also in the point of view of developing the subject knowledge. So this will be useful. So to analyze the algorithms in different subjects. So what are the asymptotic notations and give its properties? The properties of asymptotic notations. So asymptotic notation ante enti? It describes the algorithm efficiency and performance in a meaningful way. That means you should know any algorithm, whatever algorithm you consider for solving any problem. There are several algorithms are there. You want to find what is the efficiency of the algorithm, what is the performance of the algorithm. So for these points, when you consider asymptotic notation, you need to, you should have knowledge about asymptotic notation. You need to have. So it describes the behavior of time or space complexity for large instance characteristics. So what is the time complexity? What is the space complexity when you consider large instance characteristics? That means large size inputs. When you consider what is the time taken by that particular algorithm, what is the space needed by that particular algorithm. Space means memory needed for a particular algorithm. These two are needed to be considered. So from this, we can say the efficiency of the algorithm or the performance of the algorithm. So the order of growth of the running time of an algorithm gives a simpler character of the algorithm's efficiency. So efficiency of the algorithm. Okay. and also allows us to compare relative performance of alternative algorithms. What is the relative performance? Suppose there are several algorithms are there. Suppose you want to find some matrix multiplication or multiplication of two matrices. What is the value? So there are some maybe several algorithms will be there. So out of these algorithms, which algorithm is best one? Which algorithm is efficient one? Its performance is good. You want to know. So for this, we need to know the asymptotic notations concept, and also allows us to compare relative performance of alternative algorithms. When there are several algorithms for solving the same problem, then you can find the relative performance of these algorithms. Then you can find finally which algorithm is the best one. You can apply, you can use that particular algorithm. So we call it growth function as we ignore the very small constant. So we have the growth function. What is a growth function? Suppose 2 power n is the exponential growth. N square, suppose n square or n. N is a linear one. O of n is a linear one. O of n square is a quadratic. Like this, we can know the depending on the function, growth function, and ignoring the small constants. So the asymptotic running time of an algorithm is defined in terms of functions. So asymptotic running time, suppose you want to find for a particular algorithm, then we can classify into three types. So first one is big O notation O. So what is a big O notation? Asymptotic upper bound. Big O notation is a comes under upper bound. So the function f of n equals to big O of g of n. F of n is a one function. G of n is another function. So we are considering it as a upper bound. So big O of g of n, if and only if there exists a positive constant c and k such that f of n should be less than or equal to c multiplied by g of n. C multiplied by g of n. That is the constant multiplied by g of n for all n greater than or equal to k. For all the n values, we are taking this one as a constant multiplied by g of n. F of n should be less than or equal to c star of g of n. N is the input size. What is n here? N is the size of the input. See in the figure for the big O notation, f of n. F of n is the function. There is a value integer k. For k, see we are taking the positive constant k. At k value, when you compare these two, f of n and g of n. So c star of g of n. C is a constant value. We are multiplying with g of n. Okay. So always we are considering it as a asymptotic upper bound. Now big omega notation. What is omega notation? Asymptotic lower bound. This one is a lower bound. So function f of n equals to omega of g of n. Omega of g of n. In the previous case, function f of n is equals to O of g of n. So omega of g of n at big omega of g of n. Again, we are considering the positive constants c and k. C and k are the positive constants, such that f of n should be greater than or equal to c star g of n. That is some constant times multiplied with g of n. F of n value should be greater than or equal to here. In the big omega notation, big O notation, f of n should be less than or equal to c star of g of n. But in the big omega notation, f of n value greater than or equal to C star of G of n for all n values. N should be greater than or equal to K. K is some constant value. Already represented here K. N is the size of the input. This is the diagram graph. So in the big omega notation graph, you can see f of n is equal to omega of G of n. Here K is the some value, integer value. After K, so the growth of f of n is more than the growth of constant times multiplied by G of n. So f of n is at the upper growth comparing with C star of G of n in the big omega notation. So f of n is equal to big omega of G of n. Now what is big theta notation? Big theta notation means in between the omega notation and big O notation. Big O notation ki big omega notation ki మధ్యలో ఉండేది big theta notation. So asymptotic tight bond, the function f of n is equal to theta of G of n if and only if there exists a positive constant C1, C2 and K. C1, what is C1? This is one constant value. C2 is another constant. K is another constant. Such that, see here, C1 star G of n and C2 star G of n. In between that, our function f of n is there. Function f of n is in between C1 star G of n and C2 star G of n. Some constant times multiplied by G of n. For all n greater than or equal to K. N is the input size. N is the input we are taking. So in this algorithm, in this graph, you can see we have C1 star G of n and C2 star G of n. In between that, we have the function f of n. So this is theta notation. This is the asymptotic tight bond. So what are the properties of asymptotic notation? See our question here. What are the asymptotic notations and give its properties? Now see what are the properties of these asymptotic notations. Those are big O notation. Asymptotic notations ఇక్కడ ఏమేమి ఉన్నాయండి? మూడు ఉన్నాయి. Three notations are there. One is big O notation. Second one is big omega notation. Third one is theta notation. Now consider the properties of these three notations. We have general properties and the reflexive properties, transitive properties, symmetric properties, transpose symmetric properties. Okay, already you learned about the concept of these properties in our discrete mathematics subject. Reflexive, transitive, symmetric, these things. So now we will see what are these properties for the asymptotic notations, that is big O, omega, theta. So the general properties, if f of n is big O of G of n, then A multiplied by f of n, some constant value multiplied by f of n, is also O of G of n. Since even though you are multiplying f of n with some constant value, it will not change the relation of f of n and O of G of n. ఇక్కడ ఏంటంటే మీరు కాన్స్టెంట్ వాల్యూతో మల్టిప్లై చేసినా కూడా ఎఫ్ ఆఫ్ ఎన్ని మనకి ఎట్టి పరిస్థితుల్లోనూ ఆ రిలేషను చేంజ్ అవ్వదు, మారదు. అంటే ఎఫ్ ఆఫ్ ఎన్ ఈజ్ ఓ ఆఫ్ జీ ఆఫ్ ఎన్ ఆల్వేస్ సేమ్, దట్ విల్ బి కంటిన్యూడ్. సో ఏ ఈజ్ సమ్ కాన్స్టెంట్ వాల్యూ, యూ ఆర్ మల్టిప్లైయింగ్ విత్ ఎఫ్ ఆఫ్ ఎన్, then you will get big O of G of n, same, where A is a constant, so no change. See this example problem, example expressions, f of n is equals to 2n square plus 5. Then you can represent this one as a big O of n square. Big O of n square. See, our function f of n is 2n square plus 5. Now, what is the highest order here? 5 is some constant value. N square you are multiplying with 2. So, n square is the highest order, highest power of n. So, it's a big O notation. In big O notation, you can say big O of n square. Then 7 star of f of n. That means you are multiplying the function f of n with some constant value 7. Even though you multiplied f of n with some constant value 7, you will get O of n square. Since the expression is 14n square plus 35, highest power is n square. So that is the big O of n square. So even though you multiplied the function f of n with some constant value, you got the same time complexity, that is big O of n square. Similarly, this property satisfies both theta and omega notations. So we are using the big O notation, theta notation, and omega notation. For theta and omega notations also, we can consider the same property, that is, even though you multiplied the function f of n with some constant value, you are getting the same relation, that is big O of n square in our example. So we can say if f of n is theta of g of n, and then a star of f of n, that is you are multiplying the function f of n with a, some constant value, is also theta of g of n, same relation, where a is a constant. So no change. Suppose f of n is omega, big omega of g of n, then a star of f of n is also omega of g of n. So a is a constant. So that is about the general properties. The next one is reflexive property. So what is a reflexive property? Here then f of n is big O of g of n. If f of n is given, then f of n is big O of g of n. Okay, example. Suppose f of n is equal to n square. Big O of n square, that is big O of f of n. So big O of n square is same as big O of f of n. Big O of f of n is a big O of n square. Since f of n is equal to n square. Same property satisfies both for theta and omega notations. Okay. Next one, transitive properties. So what is a transitive property? Simple example for transitive property is if x equal to y and y equal to z, then what is x equals to? That is also z. If x equal to y, x is same as y, and y is same as z, then x is also same as z. Okay. That is a transitive property. So if f of n is big O of g of n and g of n is big O of h of n, then f of n is big O of h of n. For example, consider this one expression. If f of n is equal to n, what is f of n? The value is equal to n. What is g of n? That is equals to n square. H of n, n cube. N is big O of n square and n square is big O of n cube. Then n is big O of n cube. So what did you understand from this? F of n, g of n అయితే జీ ఆఫ్ ఎన్ హెచ్ ఆఫ్ ఎన్ అయితే ఎఫ్ ఆఫ్ ఎన్ ఏమవుతుంది, హెచ్ ఆఫ్ ఎన్ అవుతుంది. ఆ విధంగా చూసుకుంటే ఎన్ ఈజ్ బిగ్ O of n square and n square is big O of n cube. So finally what will happen? N is big O of n square. Big O of n square is, that is n square is big O of n cube. So what is n? N is big O of n cube. So similarly this property satisfies for both theta and omega notation. We can say if f of n is theta of g of n and g of n is theta of h of n, then f of n is theta of h of n. So simple transitive properties. Okay. Now see the symmetric properties. If f of n is theta of g of n, then g of n is theta of f of n. Symmetric property అంటే f of x నుంచి y కి, y నుంచి x కి. If x is same as y, then y is also same as x. So in the same way, here f of n is theta of g of n and g of n is theta of f of n, then both are following the symmetric property. So f of n is equal to n square and g of n is equal to n square. Then f of n is equal to theta of n square and g of n is equal to theta of n square. Both the functions are of n square type. Then f of n is same as theta of n square and g of n is also same as theta of n square according to symmetric property. This is symmetric property is only for theta notation. Next, transpose symmetric properties. If f of n is big O of g of n and g of n is omega of f of n, then f of n is equal to n and g of n is equal to n square. Then n is big O of n square and n square is omega of n. So what we are doing here, transpose symmetric properties. F of n is same as big O of g of n. G of n is same as omega of f of n. Some other properties when you consider, if f of n is equal to big O of g of n and f of n is equal to omega of g of n. F of n, this one is also f of n. But here big O of g of n, this is omega of g of n. When you consider big O notation, that is upper bound. Omega notation, that is lower bound. Then f of n is equal to theta of g of n. This is a average bound. So in between upper bound and lower bound, that is upper bound comes under O notation, lower bound comes under omega notation. So theta comes in between that. So that is why if f of n is equal to big O of g of n and f of n is equal to omega of g of n, then f of n is equal to theta of g of n. If it satisfies both big O and omega notations, then it will automatically it will satisfy the theta notation. Suppose this is like analogous to some simple example. Suppose 3 is there, number 3 is there, 2 is less than the 3 and 4 is greater than the 3. In between 2 and 4 we have the 3, like that. If f of n is equal to big O of g of n and d of n big O of e of n, then f of n plus d of n. What is f of n plus d of n? That is big O of maximum of g of n comma e of n. That is maximum of these two, g of n and e of n will be considered as the f of n plus d of n. So f of n is equal to n, that is big O of n. F of n is the function. That is a linear function. N is there. We can simply say big O of n. Suppose d of n is another function. That is n square function. N square means quadratic function. Then the big, in terms of big O notation, you can represent as big O of n square. Now take f of n plus d of n, sum of these two functions. Sum of these two functions is n plus n square. That is big O of n square. Another property is f of n is equal to big O of g of n and d of n is equal to big O of e of n. Now consider f of n star d of n. We are multiplying these two. That is same as big O of g of n star e of n. Okay, example. If f of n is equal to n, we are saying f of n as n. So that is big O of n. Since this is a linear function, in big O notation you can represent as big O of n. Suppose d of n is equal to n square. In linear function you can represent as big O of n square. Then f of n star d of n. What is f of n star d of n? That is the multiplication. What is f of n given as n? F of n is n. What is d of n? That is given as n square. So now multiply these two. F of n multiplied with d of n, that is n multiplied with n square, that is equal to n cube. That is big O of n cube. So in this way, you can consider the properties of various asymptotic notations. Those are big O notation, theta notation, and omega notation. Now see the third question. This is also very important, but based on the same. Already explained what is the asymptotic notation. So based on that also, this third question is appearing. That is explain different types of asymptotic notations with examples. So what are the different types of asymptotic notations? Already explained big O notation, big theta notation, and omega notation. So asymptotic notations ante enti asla are the expressions that are used to represent the complexity of an algorithm. సింపుల్గా చెప్పాలంటే మనకి అల్గారిథమ్స్ ఉంటాయి అనేక ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ సాల్వ్ చేయడానికి. ఒక ప్రాబ్లమ్ సాల్వ్ చేయడానికి ఒక సమ్ నంబర్ ఆఫ్ అల్గారిథమ్స్ ఉన్నప్పుడు ఆ అల్గారిథమ్స్ యొక్క టైం కాంప్లెక్సిటీని ఎక్స్ప్రెస్ చేయడానికి మనం వాడేది అసిమ్ప్టోటిక్ నోటేషన్. సో బెస్ట్ కేస్ ఏంటి ఇందులో? బెస్ట్ కేస్ in which we analyze the performance of an algorithm for the input, for which the algorithm takes less time or space. ఓకే, బెస్ట్ కేస్ మనం ఎప్పుడు తీసుకుంటామంటే అల్గారిథం యొక్క పెర్ఫార్మెన్స్ని ఇచ్చిన ఇన్పుట్కి మనం అనలైజ్ చేసేటప్పుడు అల్గారిథం టేక్స్ లెస్ టైం ఆర్ స్పేస్, తక్కువ టైం తీసుకోవాలి అల్గారిథం. అదే బెస్ట్ కేస్ అంటాం. వరస్ట్ కేస్ అంటే ఏంటి? మనం ఇచ్చిన ఇన్పుట్కి అల్గారిథం ఎక్కువ టైం తీసుకుంటే we analyze the performance of the algorithm for the input for which the algorithm takes long time or the space. ఎక్కువ టైం తీసుకున్నప్పుడు అనలైజ్ చేస్తే దాన్ని వరస్ట్ కేస్ అంటాం. యావరేజ్ కేస్ అంటే ఏంటి? ఇన్ విచ్ we analyze the performance of the algorithm for the input, ఇచ్చిన ఇన్పుట్కి అనలైజ్ చేయడం, ఫర్ విచ్ ద అల్గారిథం టేక్స్ టైమ్ ఆర్ స్పేస్ దట్ లై బిట్వీన్ ద బెస్ట్ కేస్కి వరస్ట్ కేస్కి మధ్యలో. అంటే బెస్ట్ కేస్ అంటే మనం మంచి ఇన్పుట్ ఇవ్వడం, తక్కువ టైం తీసుకోవడం అల్గారిథం. వరస్ట్ కేస్ అంటే ఒక విధంగా ఇన్పుట్ ఇవ్వడం, ఆ ఇన్పుట్ వల్ల ఆ అల్గారిథం దాని మీద అప్లై చేసినప్పుడు ఎక్కువ టైం తీసుకోవడం. ఈ యావరేజ్ కేస్ అంటే ఏంటి? ఈ మధ్యలో ఉన్నది. అంటే బెస్ట్ కేస్కి వరస్ట్ కేస్కి ఇన్ బిట్వీన్ దట్ we have the average case. So asymptotic నోటేషన్లో ఏ డేటా స్ట్రక్చర్స్ ఉన్నాయి? బిగ్ O నోటేషను, ఒమేగా నోటేషను, థీటా నోటేషను. సో బిగ్ O నోటేషన్ రిప్రజెంట్స్ వరస్ట్ కేస్ సినారియో. ఒమేగా నోటేషన్ for best case scenario. Theta notation represents the average complexity of the algorithm. So big O notation specifically describes worst case scenario. It represents the upper bound running time complexity of the algorithm. Consider some examples for big O notation. Suppose O of 1. O of 1 means big O notation. O of 1 represents the complexity of the algorithm that always execute in the same time or space regardless of the input data. So it takes constant time. Taking constant time is a O of 1. You can represent this one. Any algorithm which takes some constant time, that is O of 1, O of 2 like this, then that is called, that will be considered as a linear one. Okay, O of 1 example. The following step will always execute in the same time, regardless of the size of the input data. Suppose accessing array index. Okay, array is given and declared as array of 5. There are five elements are there, 0 to 4 you are representing. So this array, in this array, suppose you want to access last element. By using the index, you can easily access. Or you want, suppose 100 elements are there in the array. Suppose you want to access 98 element. The index is 98, for example. Then you can directly go to that particular element and you can access, okay, by using the index. With the help of index, you can directly access the element. So this takes always linear time, that is O of 1. Suppose O of n, what is O of n? O of n. Suppose big O notation O of n represents the complexity of an algorithm whose performance will grow linearly, this one. O of 1 ante constant. This one is a linearly growing in direct proportion of the size of the input data. Another one, O of n example. Execution time will depend on the size of the array. Suppose size of the array is increased, the time also increases. Suppose when you want to traversing an array, that means visiting each and every element in the array. If there are n elements are there, then it takes O of n time. Next, O of n square, quadratic. So represents the complexity of an algorithm whose performance is directly proportional to the square of the size of the input data, depending on the square of the size of the input data, that is n square. So traversing a two-dimensional array, when you consider two-dimensional array, it takes that much of time. Okay, other examples, we have bubble sort. Bubble sort time complexity is also O of n square. Insertion sort time complexity, selection sort time complexity is also O of n square. So there are other functions in big O notation. We have O of log n, O of n log n, O of 2 power n, O of factorial of n. All these are other functions. So there is a comparison of performance of the algorithms. We can represent those things with these functions, with these notations. Suppose O of 1. O of 1 means this one. Suppose O of log n. Compare all these values. O of 1 should be less than O of log n. Logarithmic time. Logarithmic time less than O of n. Linear time. Linear time is less than O of n log n. That is logarithmic linear time. It should be less than O of n square. That is the growth rate of these functions. Just compare. Less than O of n cube. Less than O of 2 power n. 2 power n means exponential time. O of n factorial. So this takes years of time. So always we are selecting the algorithms which takes less time. That is maybe O of 1, O of log n, O of n, O of n log n. Okay. These are the curves representing the growth rate of these functions. So already explained what is the omega notation, theta notation, and big O notation. Omega notation means that is a best case scenario we are considering. Lower bound running time cannot be completed in less time than this. It would at least take the time represented by the omega notation. Okay, this is about the notation actual running time, time represented by omega notation. This is another one, theta notation. Okay, this is about the basic concepts of our first unit, that is algorithms, asymptotic notations, big O notation, theta notation, and omega notations, and comparisons of various algorithms by using the functions, big O notation functions, that is n, O of 1, O of n, O of n square, O of n log n, O of log n, all these things. Okay, thank you students. The class is completed. If any doubts, you can send the message in the chat box. We can discuss. Okay, all of you can now leave the class. Thank you very much. We will continue in next class tomorrow.